man. And the wickedness and the baddest radio station.
Yo, it's Shaggy. It's voice of Gambia. 102.1 Shaggy on your dial little while. I'm in the door. Yeah.
24 hours of the best Caribbean music. You're listening to WZPP.
The new 96.1
FM.
Hey, good afternoon, one and all. It's Suzette Speaks live on your radio. I'm excited to be with you today. It's a beautiful Thursday in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Wagwan. You know we got some new dials up and running, so make sure you tell a friend, tune in every Thursday and Friday. It's the Suzette Speaks Show Live. What do we do here, y'all? I love to break down news headlines, social media trends, news that you can use. Of course, I want to edutain you as we go through your lunch hour. If you're on the roads, be safe out there. I know they have just reported. I'm going to get the latest update after our break on a fire that's going on right now in Miami. I wanted to give you some details about what's going on there so you can avoid that area. Of course, we have some headlines we've got to break down. Yes, what's going on with Mr. Trump? We know Donald Trump is always busy, trying to figure out what's next for him is a job in and of itself. But we're doing our best. We're going to talk about tariff. Remember, I told you, tariff is not a tax on the country that it's coming from. Tariff is a tax on you, the consumer. It is passed on from businesses who import a good, and it is normally passed on to the people that are going to pay for the goods, the people that buy it in the end, you and I. So we have a lot to talk about. Again, you can find us 92.7 FM WZOP. I got to get used to these here. 92.7 FM Fort Lauderdale. What's up? 96.1 FM WZPP Hollywood and 94.3 FM Miami. Of course, you can take us with you anywhere you go. We are on the web. You can find us, voiceofthecaribbean.com, or you can download the app, right? The Voice of the Caribbean is also available for you to download. So you know where we are, and I hope you will continue to rock with us. Again, thank you to everybody watching online. Big up everybody watching on my YouTube channel. This is Suzette Speaks live every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. But we got some news, y'all. How would you feel if you, in fact, were an immigrant that was here legally? Did I tell y'all already they're checking people's Facebooks? First of all, did you know this now? There are new rules in place, and we're going to discuss them a little bit later in the show, but I always have to hit you with some new news you can use. There are rules that are changing when it comes to immigrants and what the federal government can do and what they're looking at when it comes to your social media. I'm here trying to fix my chair, y'all. Excuse me. If you're watching me online, I don't want to topple over if you're watching me online. But yeah, they're allowing for monitoring of social media of certain immigrants. We're going to get into some details about that. They're also deporting people, unfortunately, incorrectly, like a man from Maryland. We're going to talk about this man who was here legally, but was taken to El Salvador, to one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. When I say in the world, I mean in the world. The wife of Kilmar Armando Abrega Garcia, who was living in Maryland. The Maryland man was deported to El Salvador in error, by mistake, unintentionally, and the U.S. government is now saying they cannot get him back. They're saying they cannot get him back. This is a very disturbing story I want to bring to your attention. I also do want to talk about the tariffs, because again, prices are going to go higher for all of us. We heard that people who voted for Mr. Trump said they wanted lower egg prices, but we didn't see any. Instead, there was a bait and switch, and this week, the markets alone up thousands of points, down again, back up again. The Trump tariffs are off, the Trump slump, the Trump dump, I don't know what you want to call it. The Wall Street traders saw that there was a historic decline on the stock market, and here we are, people who are invested like me, like you, people who have our retirements, the 401ks. I got to stand up for this because I'm getting a little heated. The people who are invested in the market, the people who are looking for long-term gains on their stocks, got a scare, a huge scare, looking this week at what was promised to be a very high tariff rate on so many countries around the world that, again, the goods are not taxed in the form of other countries paying those taxes. A tariff is what an import tax. So when it comes into the country, the people, the businesses, right, who buy the products pay it, and they therefore pay more money. And then it is passed along to you and I, the people who are buying the goods and the services, right? It becomes now our tax. Our prices go up. No more cheap goods from China is what I'm seeing. So as of today, Thursday morning, we saw President Trump say he knew it all along. This was a part of his plan all along. No more tariffs. No more. He's cutting them. He's putting it on a 90-day pause. 90-day pause. And we've seen our trading partners in Europe, the European Union, also saying 90-day pause. They'll pause it. But he hasn't paused them on China. We're going to get into it. We also want to talk about this gentleman that got illegally deported. It's super important. I also do want to talk about the other top headline that is on my mind. My hearts are with my brothers and sisters in the Dominican Republic. That horrific nightclub disaster. If you guys have not been watching, good afternoon online. I see you, Smooth Approach online. Watch me on the Suzette Speaks YouTube. Shout out to everybody who was watching me on the Voice of the Caribbean app and the voiceofcaribbean.com. You can check me out, dog. I got put on my little dress today. Felt good today. But the news is always so fast and so furious. What I want to do on this show is try to break it down to headlines that you can use and what you can do about it. I want you to pay attention because there have been millions of protesters in the streets as of this weekend. That's happening every weekend. Around the country, people are saying hands off Social Security. This is the program that allows for people who have paid taxes while they have been working in the United States, right? They've worked and they put money into the government program that is supposed to help them when they are old and retired, to give them back the money that they put in. It's their money. But there are threats now from DOGE. That's the Elon Musk so-called agency that was set up to evaluate where money in the federal government has been spent. They haven't said it out loud, but they're looking at it. They are looking at what's happening with what is called so-called entitlements. These are the programs that basically so many Americans live off of after the age of 65 or beyond. Sometimes a little bit earlier. You can take it a little earlier, but you get a little bit less money. They've worked their whole lives, put away in taxes to the Social Security Administration, but is there going to be a cut in Social Security? There are many now that are afraid that this government, the Trump administration, is looking to do just that. On top of that, I am very worried about what I'm seeing in terms of this mass deportation, really haphazard effort to get rid of people that are here illegally and who have rights under this Constitution. They may not be citizens, but if they're here lawfully, because we grant people the ability to be in the United States, to work, to live, right? Green cards, residential cards. You can live here. You don't have to be a citizen to live here. As long as you are continuing to abide by our laws. Of course, most, if not all, I can't say all, but most of the individuals, if they're working, they're paying tax. They're buying goods and services all over the country, wherever they live. They're paying taxes. Both people who are legal here and who are undocumented. But I digress because I want to talk about what happened to this man from Maryland. Once again, his name is 𝗙cie 𝗟𝗂𝗆𝗿, but he goes by the full name, 𝗙mar Armando Abrego Garcia. He was deported by the Trump administration because he was accused of being a gang member and member of the MS-13 gang. That's what the accusation was. But according to his wife, as reported by ABC News, he's never been convicted of anything. That's his wife, Jennifer Vasquez, telling ABC News Live yesterday. Everything they're saying is wrong, according to her. That's a quote from her. His wife, Jennifer Vasquez, who is fighting for him to come out of one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. This man who was here living his life, legally documented according to his wife, sitting in his house in Maryland. And now they're also attacking students. This is where you're seeing this change of being able to monitor your social media. Why are they doing that? Being able to monitor your social media is saying, we want to see if you have, they say, anti-Israeli or anti-Semitic posts. because we have also seen a trend of student visas being removed of individuals who have been protesting what is going on in the Middle East in between Israel and Palestinians. So we see a government now that is cracking down on free speech by means of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and saying, no, you can be a student here, but you have no right to voice your opinion. But they're calling it, actually, let me read a little bit more into this story, because there are a couple layers to it. So I want to get deeper into what happened to Mr. 𝗙𝗂𝗍 Armando Abrego Garcia. So, according to ABC News, despite Mr. Abrego Garcia having protected legal status preventing his deportation to El Salvador, where he escaped political violence in 2011, he was sent by the United States government, by the Trump administration, to that country's notorious, they call it 𝗙cie𝗍𝗶𝗆. The abbreviation is 𝗙cie𝗍𝗶𝗆. 𝗙cie𝗍𝗶𝗆 mega prison. Now, you have seen some of the images of this mega prison, I'm sure, if you're on social media. Even if you don't watch news, you probably have seen it, where all the men are dressed in white. And I feel like, again, some of the inhumanity that we see going on, it just hurts my spirit. Their government says that that particular prison houses the worst of the worst. And we have a United States government, the Trump administration, that has decided to say, hey, we're going to send our folks there, people who are undocumented, people who are supposedly, according to the Trump administration, members of certain gangs, MS-13 and other dangerous gangs that come out of Mexico. But they are doing so without what we call due process. This is a principle in American law. We call it American jurisprudence, right? The body of law that governs America, right? From our United States codes, from the laws that are passed by Congress, right? The United States is government of the whole entire country. The United States House and the United States Senate, they have been making laws since the beginning of this country, right? And we have U.S. codes. They continue to pass laws. And the Trump administration has cited a law that was created in the 1700s. Let me get the date right. In order to justify removing people who have been here legally, but their argument is that they have the right without a hearing, without due process, without going before what we call a trier of fact, a judge, a jury, somebody who you should be able to let your side of the story be heard. Your Honor, here are my facts. I know the prosecution have facts, but Your Honor, this is what I know happened to me. This is where I can prove I am here legally. I have done what I need to do. I am not a member of MS-13, but so many individuals have been deported without what we call due process, the right to a hearing. Nobody has been able to defend them. No attorney has been able to stand up for them. Their side of the story has not been heard. They have been removed from the United States, including this young man, despite having legal status here in the United States. He had been removed and sent to one of the most notoriously dangerous prisons in the world, 𝗙cie𝗍𝗶𝗆, in El Salvador. Now, if you have not looked up this prison, you can look it up, because you can see how, in fact, dangerous it is. You can see that they keep tens of men in a cell. I think it's 80 men per cell, if I'm not incorrect. The lights stay on. They never have darkness. They never go outside. Every time they're moved from cell to eat, they are bent over, hands shackled behind their back, heads low, heads are shaven. One toilet. I think it's two for the whole entire 80 men. No privacy, long beds. Now, there are people that will say this treatment is humane and justified. There are others that would argue this doesn't look like how we treat human beings. Even those who, from their own country, are said to have been some of the most dangerous gangs. Well, we have now people from the United States of America being sent there without a hearing. This changes American jurisprudence. We're going to look at this case. I also want to talk about what happened in the Dominican Republic. Our hearts and minds are with our brothers and sisters who survived this horrific incident. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the death toll has risen to 221 and counting. 221 people lost their lives. And I really resonated with this story of what happened in Dominican Republic when the roof collapsed on this nightclub. They were out there listening to legends, people who enjoy salsa music. I, for one, I love to go out. If you know me, Suzette Speaks, be in the streets. Okay? I love for party. All right, in moderation, praise God. I like to dance. I love music. I love the drum. And when I see this story, it just breaks my heart. So far, authorities have identified 146 victims and rescued 189 survivors from the rubble after the disaster struck at the Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo. Authorities in the Dominican Republic, according to NBC News, have identified 146 of the 221 victims killed when the roof of a Santo Domingo club collapsed. Wow. This happened earlier this week, y'all. The Attorney General's Office of the Dominican Republic released the list of names on this morning, Thursday morning, alongside a statement saying the teams of forensic doctors and pathologists are still, quote, working tirelessly to perform all autopsies and identify the remaining bodies retrieved from the rubble. Juan Manuel Mendez, director of the country's Emergency Operations Center, confirmed the latest death toll in a press conference earlier this morning. Mendez says rescue efforts have officially ended after 53 hours of nonstop search. This reminds me, remember when we had the building crash here in Miami? And people just innocently laying in their beds at night, lost their lives? It is horrific to think about these people. I don't know. I was asking a friend yesterday. I was talking about the story. That's why I wanted to bring it to you guys, because I always try to bring you stories that have an impact on me. Of course, we are Voice of the Caribbean. We stand in solidarity with the folks in Dominican Republic, our brothers and sisters, hermanos y hermanitos, and hermanas. Okay, get my Spanish right. Hermanas. They are our brothers and sisters. I know people like to make jokes about my Dominican. You know, that I'm not black, I'm Dominican. They're black and they have mixed blood too. We're not gonna argue with the Dominicans. They love their culture. I think that's what they're trying to say when they say that statement. However, we're not gonna argue on that topic. That is the least of it right now. We have a tragedy though that they have experienced. I wanted to make sure you guys are aware and highlighting it. I don't know about relief efforts and what the people are gonna need. We are going to keep you informed. You can always find us on voiceofthecaribbean.com. and we will bring you the latest. Of course, you can follow us on all platforms, Voice of the Caribbean on Instagram, VOTC Radio on Facebook, of course on, I don't know, should we still be on X? You guys, we're on X still. We're on X. Of course, YouTube, you can find me, Suzette Speaks, 1Z, 2 T's, SUZETTE, Suzette. And you can follow me on all platforms. I want to also tell you about a big event I have coming up on Sunday. I'll be emceeing an event called Lights, Camera, Action for Change. I want to big up all of the organizers. I will be hosting, and I'm grateful to be back. I hosted it on Zoom when it was done virtually. You know how it's been. It feels like, you know, we're just getting back to normal. But this event is highlighting the exploitation that sometimes can happen in the entertainment industry. And the founders, or I would say co-founders and producers of the event, have asked me to come up to the Mint Room, Miami. We'll be on Sunday at the Mint Room. Let's get it right. Today's Thursday, but the event is Sunday at the Mint Room, Miami from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And again, the event is called Lights, Camera, Action for Change. You can find out more information about it on Eventbrite. It is a nonprofit highlighting the power imbalances in the entertainment industry through, you know, personal narrative, through resources. And I'll be emceeing what will be an intriguing panel featuring folks from all aspects of the industry who have both been survivors. I have a lady who will be speaking who is a survivor of sex trafficking and exploitation. The founder has an amazing story about how she entered the entertainment industry under false pretenses, was, you know, people promising fame. Why are we so in love with fame? Why we be so caught up with wanting to be famous? Help us, God. Well, we're going to have a deep conversation with musicians, actors, influencers, models, people from all across the industry. If you want to enter the entertainment industry and you want to network with professionals and hear from them directly about how to balance and choose from roles to people when it comes to this power imbalance and possibly the road that leads to exploitation, it's important that we talk about it, y'all, so we can save some people from the pain and the heartache of what can be, you know, very, very damaging situation. So I'm really excited about being a part of that panel discussion. Once again, we'll be at the Mint Room Studios, a fabulous location. That's this Sunday, April 13th. And I'll be emceeing and hosting on behalf of Lights, Camera, Action for Change. Again, tickets are available on Eventbrite. I'm excited about that. I want to big up everybody who came out last week. The Prime Minister of Jamaica was in town. I don't know if you guys have been seeing all of the pictures from the various events. That was fun. Well, we have a lot more to talk about. Suzette Speaks comes to you live every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., okay? You can call me also if you want to give your opinion on anything that we're talking about. Of course, we know that there's tariffs on, tariffs off, lights on, lights off. The Trump administration is saying they had it as their plan this whole time. Nobody should be worried, right? Actually, we're all worried because we don't want prices to go up and the economy to suffer. But we've been playing, you know, a delicate dance thanks to Mr. Trump and his administration's threats of international global trade wars, unprovoked at that. All right, y'all, I got to take a quick break. Be sure, again, you can call me 850-446-0562. Suzette is speaking. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Come through, call me, and make sure you keep it locked. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more right after this.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
It's a grown and sexy Saturdays every Saturday night inside the Women's Nightclub.
I'm going to pause it, guys, because I know sometimes I will get...
This Saturday night, March 8th, is legendary selectors in the building. Yes, it's
I'm going to try to adjust my... What's up, Sammy? Hey, Steph. How are you? I'm grateful you're here. I'm not gonna put up the monitors.
This Saturday
you
night.
can see it, but I don't want to get a YouTube ban. If I stand right here, I'm not quite centered, but I'm scared to move my camera because I don't have my stand today. But shout out to everybody who was here. Let me see if I can adjust my other stand. Let me see if I can adjust it so I can get a better angle. I'm grateful to see you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hit the like button. Thank you so much. Let me see what I can do over here. And see if I can adjust this just a little bit more. Okay, let's try that.
Experience and client service matters when it comes to choosing your personal injury lawyer.
Is my orientation okay? Is it sideways? Does it look good? Please let me know. Let me see how that, that's not quite better. This comes out, that goes in. I think that's the best angle I'm gonna get from this. I'm shout out to everybody watching. Excuse me 1 second. Let me get my eye.
Giving your case the attention it deserves. For over 30 years, Samuel Latinsky have been helping Florida clients with personal injury, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, negligence in security, wrongful death, and
all right, I kind of want to sit, but sometimes I get hype and I'll be wanting to stand up. That's good.
For more information, 954.
I think that's good. We'll work on it. Everything looks good. Thank you very much, my love. It's been good. It's been a while, but we're back. I'm coming on live every Thursday and Fridays when I host my own radio show here in Miami. And I talk about news. You know how I love the news and how to keep up with current events, etc., etc. But I hope everybody's doing well. Thinking about doing back my Saturdays. My new Goldilocks is for my event Sunday. Hey, praise God. But we try to switch it up. I don't want to adjust too much because I know I'll be on this end too on the camera here. So I'm trying to do two things at once, address this camera. Sorry if you're getting the side of me there, sorry. Trying to make sure I can get a copy of the show that looks a little bit better. Excuse me 1 second. We still live. Trying to get a little bit of a different angle here. A little bit of a different angle here. Let's see if that looks better. Oh, nope. Go right there. Yep, everybody, I'm here. I'm just adjusting my secondary camera. Trying to get another set of recording. Thanks for rocking with me. But we're doing commercials now.
Which birthday celebration?
I don't want to get a copyright strike. But yes, here we are. We actually have what's the word? We have a fire today in Miami. I wanted to highlight the fire in Miami. I was on my way listening to the radio, funny enough, and heard about it. Fire erupts in Northwest Miami-Dade. Okay, so I want to make sure I come back and highlight the people. But yep, so I'm on every Thursday and Friday. And from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., I'm going to try to get a better version of this for my broadcast audience. It's kind of hard with this the way it is, but you know, we don't want to break anything. Thank you, Steph. We're almost done with the commercials. We'll be back live.
Just $121. That's
not
right.
even.
Picture this.
But I'm always careful with the commercials because I do not want to get a copyright strike. But what's on your mind? Have you been following any type of news? I was gonna cover. I didn't think it was that relevant though. The interview on the Breakfast Club with 𝗙cie𝗹𝗆𝗆𝗆 about her diss track, I guess back in 2009 with Beyonce, and how that had basically imploded her career, et cetera, et cetera. But I try not to do too much entertainment. I'll weave it in a little bit, but I want to carry more serious conversations. I want to make sure we are informing our people and not just, you know, always making it about entertainment. But, you know, we'll do our best to do a little bit of both. Can this move? I want to create an angle where, oh yeah, that's perfect. Maybe I'll stand. Yeah, this is really, it's tough to get good angles with this camera. I'm limited on where this other camera can move to. So I'm trying my best to get both angles. Excuse me 1 second.
All-purpose chicken, fish, sure, available at Broad Meat Food Stores, North Lauderdale, Lauderdale Lakes, Margate, and Pembroke Pines, Key Food Stores, Stanley, and Fort Lauderdale, Bravo Supermarket, Banning,
All right.
Fort Lauderdale, and
We are almost done with commercials, and we're going to be back live. You can hear us.
561-946-9941. Thanks for your support of this radio station.
𝗙cie Upholstery, specializing in auto, both sofas, chair, beddings, and lots more. For more information, 𝗙cie can be reached at 561-929-5234 or emailed at 𝗙cieupholstery@gmail.com. 𝗙cie Upholstery is located at 5618 Northwest 8th Street, Margate.
Thank you for your support to this radio station.
So I'm gonna tell them with about them like you must be mad, we could not do that. Foundation from birth, yeah man, a low culture. Say, representing for the voice of the Caribbean, Jamaica and far beyond.
24 hours of the best Caribbean music. You're listening to WZPP,
The new 96.1
FM.
Yo, it's 𝗙cie𝗿𝗂𝗆𝗃𝗏𝗃. 102.1 𝗙cie on your dial, we can while I'm in the door. Say, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Suzette Speaks live on your radio. You know you can catch me every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. right here on the Voice of the Caribbean. You know we have a few new dial partners, so you can always catch us. Fort Lauderdale, you know what it is, 92.7 FM, WZOP, that's what's up. And in Hollywood, 96.1 FM, WZPP. Of course, Miami, we're not moving, 94.3 FM and more. Make sure you also check us out on our app. Voice of the Caribbean is also an app. And of course, you can listen to us and watch us. For those of you who are watching me online, shout out to you who are watching on the Voice of the Caribbean website, 𝗙𝗶𝗺𝗍𝗂𝗆𝐶𝗋.com. And of course, on the Suzette Speaks YouTube pages and Instagram pages, you can follow me, Suzette, 1Z, 2 T's. That's right, 1Z, 2 T's on all platforms as well. Thank you to my YouTube channel who are here watching the Stephanie Humphrey channel. Shout out to you. You are on the Miami airways right now, my darling. And I appreciate everybody who is hitting the like button and looking and watching and listening. All right. So if you're enjoying your lunch hour, I hope you had a good, satisfying lunch. If you're still running around in your car or at home listening, we welcome you and we want you to know that this is a forum. I want to express my opinion, of course. I always try to keep it real when it comes to the latest hot topics, news you can use, and trying to break it down in a very understandable way, how it is affecting your life and our lives here on Voice of the Caribbean. If you're listening again throughout our South Florida community, I'd like to highlight what's going on directly here in Miami. And in that vein, I did mention right before the break that there is a fire reported in Northwest Miami-Dade. So I do want to highlight that and just update you on this possibility so you can stay out of the way. According to Local 10 News, they have a helicopter. I'm watching it live right over the scene in Northwest Miami-Dade. Sky 10 was above. The company's name is the Ferris Processing and Trading Co. Miami. The location is 3700 Northwest North River Drive, right? And what we're seeing is heavy smoke coming from that business. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue officials confirmed that the fire involved a pile of scrap metal. So you want to be aware of that. Again, if you're in Northwest Miami-Dade, 3700 Northwest North River Drive, there is an ongoing fire where you can see a lot of smoke coming out of the buildings at the Ferris Processing and Trading Co. in Miami. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. Of course, we like to keep you up to date. Make sure you keep it locked here. And again, we are not certain if it's under control, but the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue crews, upon arrival, found a large column of thick black smoke and fire coming from a pile of scrap metal located at the scrap metal facility. And this is according to Local 10 News. Fire crews have been deployed. Multiple hose lines are now being used to attack the fire and work on extinguishing the flames. Additionally, as a part of the firefighting efforts, 2 fireboats have been deployed to assist in putting out the fire from the water. Ladder units are also being used to extinguish the fire from overhead. So just be aware if you're in Northwest Miami-Dade, please, you can kind of stay away from the 3700 Northwest North River Drive area. Again, Ferris Processing and Trading Co. Miami has a scrap metal pile that has grown into a fire. You can see it from the air. I didn't look out the window. But again, we want to keep you informed so you can stay out of trouble. We were talking about the man, and he's only one of several that has been deported. A man who was legally here in the United States, living in Maryland, who has been deported, whose wife claims he has legal status, no criminal record, and unfortunately has been deported to one of the most dangerous mega prisons in El Salvador, in fact, in the world, and what it means about the United States and its laws. And are we living under a government, the Trump administration's government, that has now lessened our freedoms and the freedoms of our fellow human beings who are here, our residents, our citizens, the folks who are following laws, who are living under a constitution, just like all of us are, but have not been granted what we're calling a hearing due process, the opportunity to make their case before a trier of fact. In my legal terms, I'm also an attorney, so I'm gonna try to break it down, right? You get a hearing, you get to be heard, you get to present your side, and the other side gets to present their side. And then the body, or either the jury or the judge, if it's an individual, gets to look at the facts and gets to make an opinion. Who's right, who's wrong, whose side carries more weight, or who proved their case according to the law. But we're not seeing this happen. So I wanted to make sure we stay on top of this case, because we do have large immigrant communities here in South Florida. And we want to make sure we're holding this government accountable. So it can happen in Maryland to Mr. Abrego, Mr. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. He was taken from Maryland and deported to El Salvador in error. The United States government has now said it was a mistake. But it's too late. He's not on U.S. soil. They can't go for him. This man has not committed a crime. This man, according to his wife, also is not a member of any type of gang. That was the allegation as to why he got sent over there. And now he's sitting in 𝗙cie𝗿𝗄𝗱𝗶. 𝗙cie𝗿𝗄𝗱 is one of the most notorious prisons in the world. According to his wife, Jennifer Vasquez, as reported by ABC News, everything they're saying is wrong, she said. My husband is a loving father, and what I know is that he's an amazing husband and an amazing father. That's truly who he is. Now, Mr. 𝗙ecie𝗿𝗂𝗍, despite having protected legal status, preventing his deportation to El Salvador, where, again, he escaped political violence in 2011, he was sent to the country's notorious prison, 𝗙cie𝗿𝗄𝗱 mega prison, following what the government is calling a quote-unquote administrative error. Can you imagine being sent to a country, to the most notorious mega prison they have in an error by mistake? Can you imagine this? By mistake. And them say, oops, but we can't go for you because you're already there. You're no longer in the U.S. soil. Our laws don't apply. Guess what? You're there now. This is horrific. His wife, according to ABC News, has said it is heartbreaking. She's very confused as to what gives the United States government the right on behalf of its people to deport someone who was here legally under protected status. So this happened last month. Mr. 𝗙ecie𝗿𝗂𝗍𝒂𝗍, whose wife is a U.S. citizen and who has a 5-year-old child, was stopped by ICE officers who, quote, informed him that his immigration status had been changed. According to his attorneys, he was detained and then transferred to a detention center in Texas, after which he was sent on March 15 to El Salvador, along with more than 200 other Venezuelan men who the government claims are gang members. These men have not had a hearing. Thank you, Stephanie Humphrey channel on my YouTube. She said, that's not on behalf of the people. They didn't do it on behalf of us. Why did they do this? This man is in one of the most dangerous prisons right now. Shaved his head, stuck him in a cell with 80 other men, real gangsters, real people. Can you imagine being deported into another? I got a phone call, y'all. Let me take this phone call. Carla, hold the line. Carla, you're on the ear. Can you hear me, Carla?
Sure, directly, yeah.
Go ahead, Carla.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, with the situation going on with tariffs and social security and all of that, I'm like, on this radio station, we were beating the drum so loud and clear, and all these people never seems to believe. I'm wondering, what are they saying right now?
Listen, I know for one, I personally went door to door to try to get people out to vote in November.
I heard you on the radio saying that. I didn't go door to door, but I am a very frequent caller of the station, and we have discussion, and we were saying, this is what this man is gonna do. This is what he's gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we are. The tariffs are on again, off again. Now they're off the 90-day so-called pause on what was going to be a major implosion of the world marketplace. People don't seem to understand the agreement after 1945. This is why they don't want to teach history. After World War II, the United States has positioned itself to be a leader, and one of the concepts besides democracy that we have been pushing around the world that has been able to make a lot of people a lot of money, a lot of countries around the world a lot of money, is this thing called free trade. We have said, you make goods, you make cinnamon, you make vanilla, you make coffee, you make this better than us. We will buy it from you. Our economy has now shifted to a more service-based and an intellectual property type economy here in the United States. We don't have no more factories. Remember, the trade that we have been espousing, we have been promoting all over the world, was in order to bring cheap goods to the United States citizens in exchange for other countries now being elevated by having access to the world market. And because they have access to the world markets, now some people who do things better than us have had the opportunity to reach us as the world's basically consumers. Now, Mr. Trump has been turning this very system on his head, saying, no, no, no. We don't want to buy anything else from you. The United States is going to be good at making everything. We're going to make our own factories again. Those things have not existed in decades. Because during World War II, we had factories. We had things that were being made here in mass amounts because of the war effort. And then when the war was completed, we still were selling things all over the world. People was enjoying it. And now we're looking at a man who is turning this system on its head. No more trade. There is nothing that the United States has been known for other than making this world more stable. And in not even 90 days, the trust of the United States has been placed, I can't even say in the balance, because I look on and watch the news, what our European friends, what our Canadian friends, what our Mexican friends, and even the Chinese, what is being done right now is all the tariffs have been placed on pause for 90 days. The stock market has from going down, going up on a rumor, down again, going back up on Monday. People's 401ks, people's long-term investments, people's livelihoods, the money that they've saved and invested is being played with literally like Monopoly. And here we are, Mr. Trump announcing this morning, okay, I'm removing all the tariffs. That was a part of the plan. You guys need to, what he said, be cool. That's what he told the American people, except for China. And China's where we get, is our third largest trading partner. And except for China, who is now remaining at the 125% tariff level. Let me break that down. The people whose country the goods are coming from don't pay the tariff. The tariff is an import tax. It's the people who buy it. The people who buy it, me and you, the businesses that are here who buy these goods, then pass those costs along to the consumer. What does that mean? You and I will be paying more. You and I will be paying more. And one thing I need you to understand is once prices go up, it's very hard or almost not very likely that they ever come back down. So while he's putting a 90-day pause, Mr. Trump is putting a 90-day pause on all the other tariffs. He's threatening every single country, almost the majority of the countries that are trading partners, with higher and higher tariffs. Now he's saying he's pausing them, except for China. And we are living in this topsy-turvy, unstable world. Who doesn't like that? The businesses don't like that. Who doesn't like that? The markets don't like that. And when it affects Wall Street, it affects Main Street. And here we are yet again. Oh, now the market is up. Oh, okay. What's going to happen tomorrow? People cannot do business if they don't know how much goods are going to cost. So we're looking around and the business people are nervous. The everyday Main Street person, average Joe and average Sheila is nervous. Is this what y'all voted for, Carla? Go ahead.
I don't know how hard was that for them to understand that tariff and the goods is we gonna end up paying it. I don't know how hard was that.
We pay the tariff. The consumer pays the tariff. The American people will pay the tariff. It's not the country it's coming from. I've been saying it and saying it again. In case you don't know how it works, it's not a tariff against China. It's against the people who buy it.
It is simple as ABC. If I'm buying a product and you raise the price, all I got to do is raise it on the consumer.
Hello.
Consumer is gonna pay the price.
Exactly. Don't be fooled. Caller, I have another call on the line. Your last comment, please, and I'm going to go to the next caller.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. I appreciate the call. All right. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock. All right. We have another call on the line. Good afternoon, Carla. How are you?
So what if Trump is trying to make people in America start growing their own stuff again?
Tell me, explain to me what you mean. Go ahead.
Get meat from, like for instance, the farmers in one area, I think they're very lazy. Because they have the beef, why are we importing beef away from China? And then isn't this the way Trump is trying to do is make sure that the Caribbean people also will get a part of the cake that China is getting?
Carla, I don't think you're based on facts at this time. The American farmer has one of the most difficult jobs and feeds the entire world. Go ahead.
If we can get it from China, we can get it from Colombia, Brazil, Jamaica, Trinidad.
Which product? What kind of product you would say coming from the Caribbean instead of from China?
Chicken, goat, pepper.
So with the 330 million people that we have in the United States, we do have wonderful trade relations, or we did have. This is what I'm saying. I agree with you that free trade has been the source of prosperity for the entire world since World War II. I agree with you. But if you cut off the third most populous trading partner that we have, Chinese, also the Chinese government also holds the most of our debt. The reason why Trump had to put this tariff, the latest all across the board tariff pause, is because the bond market in the United States, when people are uncertain about what's happening in the economy, the one thing that they feel is a safe bet is the United States Treasury bonds. I'm not telling anybody to go buy it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm an attorney. But this is what he saw yesterday. But in the midst of the most uncertainty, self-imposed, self-created, the president himself is sparring on a trade war. We have not started nothing. He is starting it with everybody else in the world, our friends and our foes alike. What all I'm saying is when he does that, he had to put it on pause because people stopped buying the treasury bonds, which is the safest bet. They always bet on the United States. And there was a drop in the bond market. Nobody in the world is trusting us to be the safe place for their money. He had to stop this. So I'm agreeing with you that we have to continually promote trade, whether it be in the Caribbean, whether it be around Central and South America. But you cannot cut off your, what they call it, cut off your nose to spite your face. You'd still need China. So yes, we can get places like the Caribbean to give us goods. But if you're the third largest trading partner, go ahead.
But you know what I heard one of the comedians say? We don't want to make Nikes. We just want to wear them. You know? And that's the attitude that USA have. Spoil economy, have spoiled set of youngsters out there and leave out of school. They don't want to go work, and it's down in the Caribbean too. But then look here, you have places like Brazil. You know, you have other places that are closer to us. You have places like Colombia. You know, closer to us. Those places they want to get into the trade thing too. They have stuff they could supply us with. So I think they need to look into other places to buy their stuff. So if we go cause it too much in China, we'll do it here. If we go cause it too much get it from China, do it in the Caribbean.
Listen, I want to just add something to you. There are two people commenting on my YouTube. I'm going to put it to you, Carla. Do you think that bullying tactics in negotiation is a promising way to approach this discussion with friends and neighbors? Do you think bullying negotiation works?
Yes.
How? Why? Tell me.
Because people walk all over you and they say stand your grounds. You know?
So you agree with Trump's big stick approach, holding a big stick over the head of our friends, holding a big stick over the head of our needed trade partners like China, and saying, you better do what I say, bringing them to his knees. I think it was the president who was quoted himself. And
but China is not our friend. China is not our friend in Jamaica. China is not our friend in the United States. China was never our friend. The Chinese government is never our friend. But
they hold the third most populous trade among us. If an iPhone gets made right now in the United States, instead of $1,000, and if you had to pay to make the factory and to pay the American workers what they are requiring, iPhone, do you think America would be willing to pay like $30,000 for their iPhone? As opposed to, it's going to be far more expensive. They are saying this, economists.
You're going to be the same. iPhone too expensive right now anyway. It should be cheaper. So,
Carla, any goods that are now going to be made in the United States, just based on the tariff right now, if something was $10, sorry Shein, sorry Temu, sorry all the cheap goods, those things are now. So you think Americans will be willing to pay much more for their goods?
People too cheap. You understand? We need to have dollars, spend my dollars in the country and back in our neighborhood, right? And so we could improve our neighborhood. When you take the money and go to China and buy clothes, you're not providing jobs to nobody in the store over here. Provide jobs to people in China.
I hear you. I hear you, Carla. I don't think the outcome that you're describing is going to be the necessary outcome from this trade war as it is right now. I'm gonna give you 30 more seconds, Carla. I gotta go. 30 seconds. Your last point.
We have to grow your own. I said your own.
Okay, Carla, I'm not gonna let you go. Thank you for your opinion. I don't think it was the most informed opinion, but we appreciate you. Thank you. All right, so we are going to continue this conversation, and I am appreciative of everybody listening. Again, we have to have good information, folks. When we are talking about China, when we are talking about what's going on across the world, we have to make sure we understand that you can't just diss your trade partners. You can't just diss all of the things that you are getting from another country. The amount of pollution, I can't even get into the environmental impacts of what it takes to make jeans, what it takes to make sneakers, what it takes to make t-shirts. If you want to bring all of that here, again, we are making sure that, we are keeping the American worker at the center of this. But the factories don't even exist right now. It's going to take decades just to even build those factories. So the cost to the American people, are you really willing? I'm asking you, and you can call me. Actually, we're going to continue the conversation. I got a green light here that I can continue this conversation for maybe about 30 more minutes because we're getting hot in here. This is the Suzette Speaks show. I'm going to be back after this break, okay? Because I want to just take the privilege, thank you, 𝗙cie𝗿𝗄𝗆𝗍, to continue the conversation because we got to educate people. Not everybody understands economics. I understand that. Some people are looking like, okay, yes, Trump wants to bring the jobs back. But do you really believe at this time, the engineers, the people that are even necessary to create an iPhone are not in existence yet? We could train them up. I do think we could train them if we had the time. But in the short term, you are going to pay out the nose. Believe me when I tell you. Listen, don't go nowhere. After this break, we're going to continue this conversation. Suzette Speaks live. Be back right after this.
We're listening to WZPP 96.1 LP/FM Hollywood. You're listening to WZOP 92.7 LP/FM Fort Lauderdale.
This is Mikey Mike from the Voice of the Caribbean.
Guys, I'm
for
gonna
over the
come back
last
live on
30
my
years,
Facebook.
personal injury lawyer.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go live on my Facebook. I'll see you guys. Bye.
I was
supposed to come in, but no problem.
Sexual abuse cases.
So what I'm going to do is just go till 2:30. I might, because that helps because no problem. And then what I can do